So today we're talking about stem changing verbs. So, what part of the verb is called the stem? That will be the first question in the stem changing verbs. In English, are there any stem changing verbs? Number 3, in Spanish, in the present tense, how do we form present tense? So number 3 in Spanish, in the present tense, how do we form stem changing some verbs? Number 4, in verbs that have vowels such as preferir, where do we make the stem change? Where does it go? Using the Spanish stem changing verb, querer, to want, how do we make the expression I want? Using the Spanish stem changing verb of querer, the same verb, to want, how do we make the expression you want? Using the same verb, how do we say we want? And using the verb preferir and having the state change on it, how would we say he prefers? Number 9, it says using the Spanish stem changing verb querer, how do we make the expression they want to watch TV? They want to watch TV. And the last one, the verb is empezar, which is to begin. It does have a stem change. How would you say then, I begin to understand? So there's 2 verbs in here, okay? Same thing as in number 9. There are 2 verbs on that. It means the rule applies where the first verb is changed, conjugated, and the second verb stays the same. Nothing happens to that one that is in its infinitive form. Okay, so let's continue with this. Bear with me because the internet is not the greatest today. It's really hard to find.
So, Pablo, I have a riddle for you.
Cool. I love riddles.
Okay. So, when is we different from you, I, he, she, and they?
Whoa, that's intense. That's a toughie. Come on, Billy, give me a hint.
Okay. Think. Spanish verbs.
Youch. Like that helps.
Okay. Hint number 2, Pablo. ¿Entiendes? Get it? ¿Entiendes?
Do I understand? Well, duh, no. Come on, Billy, one more hint.
Okay, but this is it. Pablo, listen carefully. Entendemos los verbos en español. ¿Entiendes?
Well, maybe you understand, but I sure don't. Entiendes, entendemos, huh? Okay, let me do that whole verb. Entiendo, entiendes, entiende, entendemos. Wait a minute.
No, he sees the light.
That's it. The you, I, he, she, and they forms all have an IE in them. But the we form doesn't.
Ding, ding, ding! Give that boy a prize! Yes, Pablo, you solved the mystery of the stem changing verbs.
So stem changing verbs, what they are is changes. There are two parts of the verb, right? The beginning, that is what's called stem. Kind of like a plant has the stem, the beginning of the plant, right? So the beginning of the verb is called stem. The last part is the end. And all verbs end with AR, ER, and IR. When we change, when we conjugate verbs based on the subject, based on the person that is doing the action, you drop the ending and plot the right ending that applies, that goes with the subject. Now, some verbs also have a change in the stem, in the beginning of the verb. And that's what we're going to talk about. Verbs like E to IE. It's not really yeah, it is a stem change. It is a change, absolutely. It's more of an addition, right? You add an I to it, pretty much. So, in Spanish, some verbs have the stem change in the present tense. Now, in English, there is none. We don't have any stem changes, but in Spanish, there are some, okay? How do we form the present tense of E and IE, stem changing verbs? Well, pretty much what you do, for example, the verb querer, the E changes to an IE. That's it. That is for verbs that have querer, for example, the verb querer to want. Now, the stem change, the change that happens in every subject, okay? En yo, tú, él, ella, ustedes, ellos, and ellas. But there is not change in the nosotros form or the vosotros. There isn't, okay? So, for example, here, querer is the verb, to want. Notice that there is an extra I right there. And you say, quiero. I want. Yo quiero. Quieres. You want. Quiere. He wants. She wants. Usted want. Queremos. We want. There, in the nosotros, there is no change. There's no addition. There's no I. Do you notice that? Right here. And vosotros does not have that I either. So it goes back to quieren, which is ellos quieren, ellas quieren, ustedes quieren, they he and ustedes, using ustedes for want. So that's it. That is the only thing that you have to really remember about that. The I changes to the E changes to an IE. There are other verbs also that have that same similar stem change, like the verb cerrar, which is to close, the verb empezar, which is to begin, entender, which is to understand, pensar, which is to think, and preferir, which is to prefer. All of those have a stem change, have a change in the beginning of the verb, okay? So, cerrar, when you conjugate this verb, the E is going to change to IE. Cierro. It's going to have that change, okay? I close. Yo cierro. Tú cierras. You close. Ella cierra. Nosotros cerramos. There is no change in the nosotros, nor in vosotros. Empezar, to begin. Now, empezar, so this is E. You're going to add an I right here. Yo empiezo. I begin. Tú empiezas. Él empieza. Ella empieza. Nosotros, there's no stage. Empezamos. Entender, to understand. The change is on the E right here. Entiende, entiendo, entiendes, entiende. Pensar, to think. The change happens on this E, the first E. Pienso, piensas, piensas. Now, preferir. Preferir has two E's in it, okay? So you just have to be aware that preferir, gets the change, not in the first E, but in the second, okay? After the F, you add an I. Prefiero, prefiere, prefieren. But in the nosotros, there's no tense. Los preferimos. Now, when you have two verbs in one sentence, like in this case, do you want to watch television or read a book? Notice that there's two, want and watch. So the verb, the first verb, is the one that gets changed, conjugated, quieres, and the second verb, nothing happens to it. It stays in its original form, in its infinitive form. ¿Quieres mirar la televisión o leer un libro? Do you want to watch television or read a book? All right, in conclusion, there are verbs in Spanish that need a change, and the change usually happens in the beginning of the verb, which is called the stem, okay? Now, most of these verbs have that change or that addition in every form of the verb, except in the nosotros and the vosotros form, okay? So now with this information, you are going to complete in page 200, activity 5, 6, 7, and 8, okay? So you're gonna go to those pages. Activity 5 is requiring you this is actually going, okay, here we go. Activity 5, it says write sentences describing the clothing, the items these people want. So you're going to use the verb querer, which is to want. So the model is right here. It says, la madre de Enrique quiere la blusa anaranjada. Enrique's mom wants the orange jacket. So you're going to grab one of the subjects, which is right here. Maribel is the subject, which is a she. Tú, vosotros, usted. And then you're going to pick one of these items. Okay? You're going to match it up. Number one with number one. And create that sentence. Maribel quiere el vestido rojo. And so on and so forth. Okay? So that is activity 5. That is the verb. Activity 6, you just have to select the verb. There are 6 verbs right here. They all have stem changes. They all change, or there's an addition to it. Querer, obviously, is to want. So there's going to be an addition here after the U, between the U and the E. Cerrar also changes to a IE. Cierro, cierras. Preferir, the change goes right here after the F. Entender, the change goes right here after the T. You add an I. Pensar, the I is added after the P. Pienso, piensa, piensas. Empezar has the stem change on right in the middle after the P. And so you read this, and based on who is doing the action, you're going to write the correct verb and the correct form of that verb. Okay? So that's what we have to do for this activity. All right? If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Again, you guys got to go back and be able to answer the essential questions right after. Okay?